I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 21st, where all arrows for this cattle market continue to point south as we've got light demand for feeders. Why wouldn't they be? Our pastures are full, so getting lighter, progressively demand for lighter weight stocker type cattle. And our fat cattle market is really in a bind with heavy supplies on the way, and we've also built this big wall in front of the wall with all this trade here the last couple of months for out front delivery, and the packers just have so much captive supplies and a lot of cattle to choose from, although they are wanting to turn these chain speeds up pretty strong, the strongest we've seen in several years, and having a big slaughter because they're making so much money on these cattle. But let's look at the board for last week. June live cattle futures ended the week at 102.40, down $5.22. August fats 98.22, down $6.20. August feeder cattle ended the week at 137.62, down $6.28. And May feeder cattle at 132.22, down $6.20. But if you look at that May contract on the feeder board, this week it's going to expire at 132.22. It's in comparison to the CME feeder cattle index value, which it has to match up with. It's sitting at 133.66, which is last available. That was Friday for Thursday's actual value, and it's a 7-day moving average. But I'm not sure how it's staying up there that high. You guys that are on top of the market know that it would be hard pressed to get something between 133 and 134 for a real nice set of flat 800-pound steers, even merchandised in a load lot, let alone an average of all sales on there, all quality levels, and even small packages. And it's just got to come down there closer to what your real-time index is on Beef Market Central, on automated current real-time information, sitting at 125.42 late in the week. If you look at your fat cattle trade for last week, through Thursday they'd sold 91,250 head in the 5-area feeding region. Just had a little bit of trickle of trade every day through the week, and it seemed like not that long ago that everybody thought that a little bit of trade every day through the week would make the market healthier, but this market is not healthy right now in your fat cattle trade. We've been running here the last couple of months with a very high volume of cattle selling for 15 to 30 days out. The most they've ever had since they've been keeping track of it through mandatory price reporting, and that was about 8 years ago or so. But it's been running about 30%. We're gonna find out here late on Monday to see how much it was this past week, but likely to be higher than that, or 30% of the weekly volume, because just so much of those prices that were coming through last week looked like they were for out front delivery, and so they would be mid to late June before those cattle would come. But on Thursday, the most recent prices we really have reported, because Friday didn't see much reporting, but there's likely to be a little bit more trade come through. But live sales from 110 to 117, that's likely your cash spot immediate delivery market was around 114. It's about $8 lower than the previous week. Your weighted average on live steers through Thursday last week was 114.88. Your dress sales, big range on those, 176 to 188. It looked like later in the week there, 182 was probably the best you could hope for immediate delivery. But it was better earlier in the week. But dress steers, the weighted average on those through Thursday was 184.28. Like I said, your market down hard, and your dress steers and heifers about $10 lower than the previous week. They're taking it back in hunks, just like we said. But box beef cutout values, average trade for last week, looks like your cutout value kind of hit a ceiling last week, and may be able to hold something close to these levels with a lot of spring grilling demand. but not likely to see them surge like they have for the last several weeks. But choice cutout saw a little bit of jump late in the week, which helped their average for last week. The weighted average on last week's trade, 231.94, up $1.33, and selects down 81 cents at 208.77 for the average trade of last week. Choice select spread at $23.17, but good movement last week with a lot of loads traded. Like I said at the beginning of the report there, your slaughter run heavy, estimated to be 660,000 for last week, with a huge Saturday of 67,000 head. And that's the biggest slaughter we've seen for a long time. Many years. We're doing it with less slaughter capacity, fewer plants open, running them at a high volume there, close to their peak. And the employees at those plants are just not used to working that hard, especially when the weather's getting nice or kids are getting out of school. They're probably wanting some time off, but we'll see how long they can hold those levels, and we'll see if those levels do actually come to fruit. But usually those slaughter estimates are very close to what comes out actual about 2 weeks later. But that 660,000 for last week estimate be 15,000 more than the previous week, which was pretty impressive, and 48,000 more than the same week a year ago. Look at your cash feeder markets for last week in the sales, especially late in the week. I was just light demand, and the market just kept getting progressively lower, and your feeder cattle buyers just not likely to push the envelope on anything unless it was just exactly what they wanted and what they had an order for. But the orders are getting harder and harder to come by. But cash feeders last week in the sales, $4 to $10 lower. I mentioned earlier your real-time index suffered severe losses last week. Late in the week, it ended at 125.42. That was $11.23 lower than the end of the previous week. Look at an individual quote late in the week. On Saturday at Fort Scott, Kansas, sold a load of 855-pound steers at 127. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.